Mikey and Rinne stay in. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Ready?
Yep.
Hi, guys. This is Mikey and Rinne stay in. I'm Mikey.
And I'm Rinne.
And this is our third episode of our show
Yeah.
about a changing life.
Yeah.
So we took a little time off. We had some things happen. So last time that we spoke with everybody, I think you were 10-ish weeks pregnant.
Yeah,
10
that
weeks
sounds
pregnant?
right.
Yeah.
I think so.
Do you want to tell us about what happened?
Sure. So, not too long after that, a little under a week perhaps, I had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
And it was pretty sudden and devastating, and yeah, just super unexpected. And I think that we're now a month or so out, and I know that for me, I've sort of had just a whole cascade of feelings and ups and downs, and a little bit of time to process it perhaps. But as you can see, if you can't see, I'm sort of teary, and I think that it still feels a little bit raw. And
Yeah.
So we decided to come back and do this as a way, I think, to process a little bit more.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this has been, I think for both of us, it was, so we were right at about to be a week away or so from the 12-week mark, which was when we were going to start telling people, and we were flying out to New York to see Corinne's family to surprise them, and we had my family coming in from Colorado, and we were going to surprise them, and I'm just a dork for surprises, so that was I was just so amped about that, and so we went, and I was ready, and so obviously, and then of course she was pregnant, and so there's all the joy in that, and it was the quickest. So basically we went in, I mean, we don't have to, I don't know how TMI we're going to go here, but I mean, basically Rinne had a little bleeding, and we went into the hospital, and we were supported by a midwife team. I'll use the air quotes for the word supported, because this was actually a good emergency warning test or whatever that, because our midwife team was fine. There was a lot of fucking hiccups. We won't get into all the details because it's just that's boring to listen to, but there was a lot of things where we were not supported, and the hospital wasn't that great, and the midwife team was lackluster and whatever. But we went into the hospital, and basically they did an ultrasound and didn't find a heartbeat. And they didn't say, in that moment, there was this very sweet ultrasound technician who they're not allowed to say anything, it all has to be very hush-hush. The doctor has to give you the news. But this guy we knew right away.
It was really interesting too, because we were in the hospital late at night,
Yeah.
or super early in the morning.
Oh, I can't even remember. We did 2 nights in the hospital.
Yeah.
I think, no, that one was late at night, because we went at oh no, we did go to sleep, I think.
Yeah,
so
it was
we went in at 2 a.m.
on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a ghost town in there. And
Right, because there was no one else in the place.
Yeah.
Which was kind of awesome, because we literally showed up, we
got right in.
pretty much got right in, yeah.
Because we went in through the ER. But that moment sticks out so much in my mind, because it was I got wheeled up to where the ultrasound technician was, and it's, hospitals are so 7-Eleven crazy bright.
Right.
And there was not a soul in any of that diagnostic area. And then, it was just me and Mikey and the ultrasound tech in this quiet, sterile, crazy bright room.
Right.
And I remember a moment where he said, okay, I've just got to find your cervix, and, we get all the boring stuff out of the way first.
Right.
Right? And
this was Corinne's first ultrasound too. We hadn't had anything done before this, so we were kind of in this moment, we're either about to kind of meet our baby for the first time and hear the heartbeat and all that, or not.
Yeah, and he was so judicious about the way that he said things, but that was kind of the one thing where
Yeah.
I would take the boring stuff
Oh,
like,
Right.
100 times over, because then once he started to ask a series of questions like, how sure are you of your
Pregnancy.
last period,
Right.
all that
right,
stuff.
Sure, yeah.
And so he was just looking to sort of uncover if maybe I was only 6 weeks pregnant and not almost 11.
Totally.
So that I think that was, I mean, that was the moment that I knew.
Oh yeah, we didn't really look at each other. We didn't say anything to him. But yeah, I mean, it was, as I was saying, it was like it was that moment where the floor falls out a bit.
Yeah.
And it was like I went from like this point of really high happiness, a lot of emotions, to like the sharpest. Since then, it's been the sharpest and the dullest sadness that I've ever felt.
What do you mean?
Well, we found out that initially that first moment we found out that the baby had died, or the pregnancy wasn't viable, or the embryo, however we want to say it, and that morning was insanely sharply sad, like just as if it couldn't get any worse. Then you're in a hospital, like in an ER. It's just fucking terrible. There's blood everywhere. There's we'll get into more of the story of it, but the first night was fine, but it was like you're learning these things in, like, when I was a stoned 20-year-old going into 7-Eleven to get a Don Juan's burrito was painful, because you're under these lights and it's like, and everything is just so hypersensitive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're finding out that the best news of your life is now the worst news of your life in those same conditions, and you're not high,
Right.
which I guess helps. But
Right.
but yeah, and then we left, and we basically were like, we're gonna go eat waffles, we're gonna eat pancakes, we're just gonna like Netflix and barf, and then but yeah, it was the sharpest sadness I've ever felt. And then it's been replaced now just by this life has to go on sort of thing, but it still resonates in the back of my mind that it's like, it's still this unbelievable sadness that we lost this baby, and that, all the things. And so, I don't know, it's like, and then it can swell back into the sharp sadness, then it's like a depression, sadness sort of thing that I don't know, I just didn't know that my body was kind of capable of, or my brain was capable of. And I don't know, a lot of men, like, this is something we'll talk about through this episode, but it's been so interesting. Like, one, you're not supposed to talk about miscarriages.
Right.
Women, I think, are told it's too scary, it's too personal, you're gonna freak out pregnant moms, or like whatever. And from what we've read and what I've seen or whatever, like basically 30% of pregnancies end in miscarriage, which is amazing. Like I know of miscarriages in my family and things like that, but like nobody really talks about it. So we've been talking to people about it and saying like, Corinne had a miscarriage, even people that didn't know that you were pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And the support system has been unbelievable. Like, all of these people that we know very well are like, oh my gosh, well, I had a miscarriage. I had 3 miscarriages before my kids, whatever it might be. My sister, my family, like all these things. And it's just an amazing thing. It's like hiding in plain sight.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other, I mean, we like, I don't know how much people want to hear about like the intimate details of things, but like, so we ended up so we were sent home with the bad news, and they basically were like, go home, you're going to go through some things. So basically an active miscarriage. You're going through a miscarriage. And if you spike a fever over 101, or no, 100.4,
Mm-hmm.
if you pass something larger than a lemon, which was amazing to think about. And then, what was the other one? Oh, and if you bleed more than a certain amount. So if you bleed through a pad in less than an hour.
Through a pad an hour, yeah.
Right. And so we went home, there was a night, we stayed at home, like it was terrible. But we're super in it with each other, just, yeah. But and then the following night, Rinne started bleeding a lot and started passing things or whatever. And so we went back into the hospital because we were just like, I don't want you to bleed to death in our house. And so went back into the hospital. And so that night we were in the ER for a while, but then they put us in a fucking birth suite. Which to me is like, it's the cruelest joke, because it's like, so 30% of pregnancies end in miscarriage, there should be a fucking pregnancy or a miscarriage wing in the hospital.
Right.
Like, just
right.
should. Are you
Right.
fucking serious that the only place they can send us is a place where there's babies being born and shit on the walls that says, like, welcome to the world, baby?
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah, that was one of the cruelest jokes for sure. And we ended up in the hospital again just because I supposedly had a D&C scheduled, which is you can choose to just actively miscarry and do it at home. I really needed for it to be over and complete and to make sure that that was the case. And so sometimes you can do these procedures in office, but it turned out that mine hadn't gotten scheduled properly. And so
right.
I would have had to wait another week almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway.
With who knows what happening.
So we
Right.
were waiting on a doctor that was delivering a baby that night.
Yeah.
And he ended up having to do a C-section, and so we spent basically an overnight in a birthing suite.
Right.
And then at 4 a.m. or so,
Right.
he was ready for the surgery.
And so, you know, and then just like another side story is that we didn't really know that this hospital was religiously affiliated, and we are,
Yikes.
and we're not religious, and that shouldn't fucking matter. For me, I'm like, if there's a separation of church and state, there definitely should be a separation of medicine and church.
Right.
Fuck off. Everybody gets sick. Everybody gets hurt. Don't, you know. And so we're in there. I just started noticing, like, oh, crosses. Oh, like flyers that say things about, like, you know, your divine father watching over you while you're having, I don't know, an IV fluid pumped in your dick. I don't know.
He's there.
He's there.
He's there.
And so that was a lot. And then most of everybody that we worked with, doctors, nurses, they were cool as shit. They were, like, very, very helpful, very supportive.
Amazing.
There was one woman who was very sweet. But she, oh boy, you just could smell the crisis on her. And she was just like, all these things. Well, first of all, she kept calling it a baby, which I don't know. Cool, it is, it was, it would have been, whatever. But it just felt a little too, like, I was like, can we just, like, call it, I don't know, an embryo or something? Doesn't matter. But she at one point goes, so I make these, like, boxes for parents who've lost a child to take home with them. Would you like me to make you one? And I mean, my first response was, fuck yes. I need to see what weird shit is going to be in this box. Like, what is this?
It was really important to her for us to have this box.
Yes.
And I felt like in that moment, I was so fucking defeated as it was. I could not say no.
Totally. And so, yeah, so we got this box. And so picture, like, a Nike shoebox. It wasn't. It was all white. But basically a nice Nike shoebox. And you open it up. And so inside this box was a pair of, like, knit booties. And a little knit hat for a newborn. And, like, a swaddling blanket. And then all these books about miscarriage and why God took a baby home and all these things to heaven. And then there's a certificate at the bottom that said, this certifies that baby Sheether, we call it baby Sheath, so baby Sheath, it's my last name, has been taken home to heaven by God on this day, blah, 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 year of our Lord.
Sweet.
What the fuck?
Sweet Christ.
We didn't have a baby. What the fuck are we supposed to do with these outfits? Are we supposed to put them on our dog?
Be kind of cute.
Are we supposed to burn them? Are we supposed to bury them? Maybe that's, I don't know. To me, I was just like, is this, so we're in a birthing suite, having a miscarriage, Corinne's having a miscarriage, and then we're given this box. I'm like, there are messaging concerns here left and right. Oh my God. I mean, it was such a, like, twist of the knife sort of thing. And we, you know, and basically we had set our thing up. So, because we were going to be using midwives, we were going to be in a birthing center, this very modern, cool birthing center, whatever. Because we don't love hospitals. We're just not, like, huge hospital fans. And fine if you like hospitals and want to have your baby, that's great. We were, like, going to have maybe a home birth, but we decided on the, this into the birth center instead. So this was, like, so not what we wanted. I mean, this was like, and obviously we didn't want a miscarriage either, but this was like, we're in a birthing suite. I'm walking to the fucking bathroom, and like people are coming up to me like, oh, and they're like, what kind of baby are you having? And I'm like, a dead one? I don't know. What the fuck am I supposed to say? This is so awkward.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
So anyways, we gotta fill out a comment card at that hospital.
Well, and you know, I just kept thinking that we're in a birthing suite. These are labor and delivery nurses, and they're dealing with live babies, or they're dealing with potential stillborn.
Oh God.
Which then it, you know, I don't know if the box then feels. It's obviously so different for every
I would think it'd be
parent.
even more intense at that moment.
I know.
You've
But I
carried a
really
baby to
do.
term?
I do see the difficulty with being a labor and delivery nurse and dealing with, like, you know, miscarriage is. It's not. That's not necessarily. I don't think right in their wheelhouse. It's
Should be.
more like.
Well, I don't know. It's well, as I said, there should be a whole separate part of the hospital for
Right.
this.
No.
It's just, you know, and this is from what I've read. It's 30% of pregnancies end in miscarriage, and those are just reported miscarriages. Like these are miscarriages where people knew they were pregnant and then had a miscarriage, right? And I guess a lot
That
of
seems really high.
a lot of miscarriages happen, and people don't even know they're pregnant yet, so they think it's just like a heavy period. And so, what does that mean? Does that mean that 45% of I don't know. I mean, it's like I don't know. I'd be so interested to just delve deeper and just see really what it is.
Sure.
But
I'm sure there's medical people out there that actually know.
Right, but I mean, they'll know the amount of miscarriages that were that were clocked as that, you know?
Right.
Anyways, I don't know. So a story I tell a lot is like, when I was a little kid, I grew up in like this big Irish Catholic family with a kind of a domineering grandmother who would actually have the children's table and then the adult table, right? And so like my whole childhood, I was like, I'm gonna get to that fucking adult table. It's awesome. I bet they're doing so much cool shit over there, and it's funny, and it's all these things. And when I was maybe, 14 or something like that, at a dinner, my grandmother was like, Mikey, why don't you come and sit at the adult table? And I was like, oh, promised land.
Made it.
I'm in like the fucking VIP room at a fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers concert. Got a nice rap. So, I got to the adult table and I was like, this is bullshit. These people are so boring. And not only because they're adults, but they were all, like, adults are basically just like grown-up children. And they're all, I don't know, a mess and anxious and all the things and not that interesting. And so, like, I don't know, I used to deify, like, doctors and nurses and all these things. I still do. Doctors and nurses, they do. It's a hard job. It's all those things, right? But, like...
Everybody, we're just people, right? We're just people, like, doing the best we can.
Like, bedside manner, is that, like, the low bar? I just need you to not scare the shit out of me.
Right.
And, like, you can't even do that. An anesthesiologist, we had this, like, weird anesthesiologist who was, like, I don't know, an autistic member of the Addams family or something, who, like, came in and he was just like, and he, like, basically told us 500 things that were terrible that could happen. And then he had Corinne at one point stick her chin out like an ostrich or something. And he goes, let me look at your throat or your neck. And then so she shows him her neck and he's like, I might have to intubate and put a tube down your neck. I'm like, God damn it! Ah! She's about to have this crazy procedure. And then you're talking about like fucking tracheotomy in her throat. I don't know. It's like, hey, medical community that gets paid an ass ton of money. You should be able to perform at a customer satisfaction level way higher than like Starbucks. Starbucks is fucking crushing you right now. Like they're hitting everybody like boom, 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 making them happy, saying exactly what they need to hear. And like this person who makes $500,000 a year, like can't fucking help but trip over their dick and fall into the room and tell you that you might die with a hole in your throat. Oh.
As a counterpoint to that,
Please.
The physician that I had was
he was amazing.
Literally off the cast of ER. First of all, he had
so handsome,
glorious hair that was perfectly coiffed. I'm like, are you delivering babies? How do you look like that?
Right, he's making the baby. He's siring.
Yes. Yes, so handsome, and took so much time with us to come down from labor and delivery to the ER.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do that. And like pulled up a chair, introduced himself by his first name.
Yeah.
Had so much empathy.
Yeah.
There was one moment where I'm getting wheeled into surgery, and
this is Corinne's first time ever having a procedure of any variety.
I'm a really lucky person. Like
amazing.
I just had a very charmed, healthy life, and so so this surgery was freaky AF for sure. And I'm shaking and crying, and he, sort of everyone else around is they're in surgery a lot, so they see people shake and cry, and there's a lot scarier surgeries than what I went through. So they're like, I bet you're gonna be fine. But he really took a moment as I'm getting wheeled in. He stopped the gurney and he just put his hand on my shoulder, and he just said, "How you doing?" And I was like, who does that? It was just this moment that was like, humanity sees humanity, you know? And my follow-up appointment with him, I just, like, basically vomited gratitude all over his lap.
Yeah.
It's just like, that was the single most important moment in those 2.5 days.
Yeah. No, I know. That's,
And he didn't even remember it, right? It was just sort of second nature to him.
Right. And you said, who does that? Fucking healers should do that.
Right.
Like, this dude
I
is
know.
like,
I know.
I don't know. It's, of anybody that should be doing that shit, it's a doctor. It's someone who's coming to help you. This is like the thing when, I don't know what the policy is now, but where they said that teachers can't touch kids in schools.
Right.
Oh my God. Are we serious?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Preach, Heath.
I want to preach about it because it's just like, we should be able to, like, I get it. Ooh, no, like, it's like the same, these are the same people that say that Mr. Rogers was like a pervert or something.
Right.
It's like, if you can't be okay with adults having intimate relationships with a kid, like seeing a kid, seeing the humanity in a child, I don't know, fucking jump off a bridge. Like, it's just, if you're a doctor, you're someone who is like with people at their most fragile moments, happy moments as well. Like, you should be not only a knowledgeable person, but you should be really great with people. Mm-hmm. Like, your EQ should be off the charts. And you should be able to know, like, when does this person need me to, like, step in, step out, touch them, not touch, whatever. And it's like, I just think that it's something that's very much lost in the medical field. And in what you do, in, like, the alternative medicine field, it's not lost. I think it's something that really, really exists. And you have these long intakes, you're able to really talk to people about where they're at in their human process. But man, hospitals, I don't know. It's like, I want to be on board, and I know that there's great people that work in them. My sister was like a super preemie. She was born at 24 weeks, and some of the most amazing people in our lives have come from that experience. But oh man, I don't know. There's so many. I don't know. This is a story obviously anybody can tell. There's so many horrifying things that happen in hospitals. Not only because they're a horrifying thing to begin with, but also just as like.
Well, and
you can't have profit attached to health. That's what I think the main problem.
And that's the problem. It's not the people. Everyone, for the most part, that gets into medicine gets in there because they want to help people. And we've set up a system where we've monetized health in such a way where it's more advantageous to rush people through than it is to really do thorough, like sit down and do a health history intake that takes 30 minutes.
Right,
That's
totally.
not going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's not because providers don't want to, it's because our system is not designed for
Sure,
that.
well, totally,
You
I'll
have
give credit to that.
Yeah. And so I think that's why it was so, this was such an incredible experience, because he clearly went above and beyond what he had to.
Totally.
And, I don't know. It made a hugely lasting impact. That's the stuff that's fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
The like, other people's blood on the ER bathroom floor, or what, the dude not wanting to clean it. I don't know, just all the other noise. That's so secondary.
Yeah.
And
totally.
yeah.
No, I know.
That was so tangential, but
but it's important. And so well, I mean, okay. So as far as the show goes, so someone I was talking to recently was saying how they knew somebody who, whenever they were pregnant, I think they have a couple kids or whatever, but each pregnancy they would start telling people right away, right when they knew, they would tell people that they were pregnant, like however many weeks in. And because they were like, I want a team, a support system with me no matter what, even if it's before 12 weeks, and I'm with that. I love that idea. And I don't know, and I get the reason for waiting, I get all these things, but it's, so anyways, in relation to that, the podcast, I feel like this is still a journey that we're on. We're still, Mikey and Rinne stay in. We're going to be trying to have another baby. And I feel like I don't know, I must say, like, doing the show when you were pregnant and stuff like that, it felt like a very kind of charmed version of the show or something. Like, it was like, oh, hey, everybody, like, hi, this is Welcome to Mikey and Rinne Have Money. We're going to, spend this whole conversation talking about our bank account, hey. And, I don't know, it felt weird and kind of braggy. And I feel like this, I don't know, of anything that's ever happened to me, this feels like the most humanizing thing that's ever happened to me. I'm like, whoa, low lows, high highs, all the things.
Yeah.
And so I like the fact that maybe the show is going to be about the whole process. Like, it's like, had a pregnancy, had a miscarriage. Hopefully we're going to have another pregnancy again very soon. They can talk through the whole process. It's like it makes it more complex.
Sure.
It's still dumb and full of fart jokes and swearing, mostly on my part, but
there it is.
Off. So, but yeah, I want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I just want to I don't know, I hope people want to hear this. So one of the things that I touched on earlier is people don't talk about miscarriages. Since this happened, I was barfing out of my eyes at the supermarket when I saw friends and things, and I was just I didn't know if I was going to tell people or not, but then I was crying in the potato chip aisle. And I was like, well, I have to tell them or they're just going to have me committed.
Mikey's one of the most expulsive people I know. He's very rarely kind of holds it in type guy.
Yeah, and so I've been telling people about it, and it's women want to talk about it. They want to be constructive about it, and some of my femma men, kind of more emotionally in touch men. But most men that I talk to about it, they're they want to get out of the situation, out of the conversation so quickly. They're and then great men in my life that have been oh God, we feel for you so hard, whatever. But it's just awkward. It's it's talking about things that are really serious and about my wife's vagina on some level, and I don't know. It's just, and also as men, I think I've mentioned this in the last couple episodes, but we're taught nothing about pregnancy.
Right.
I literally thought if I ejaculated within a 15-yard radius of a woman, pregnant. Until I was 37, I think. I mean, I just thought it was so easy. I also had people in my life that got pregnant really early and definitely weren't trying, all those things. Now that we're trying to have a baby, the window is so small.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know how it happens so often. And so, that was a tangent of just saying that I feel like I'm learning so much that why don't I know about any of these things?
Right. Yeah.
I think it's kind of hidden on some level from men and from humans, or Americans, I don't know, but we just don't talk about it. So.
Yeah. Well, and there's something really powerful and empowering about being able to, actually have a fetus implant and then carrying a baby and then birthing a baby. And so I think that that's a part of, sort of just our lack of cultural conversation too. We don't, things that really empower women historically, we don't necessarily chat much about or learn much about or have much of a reference point for. And so,
right. No, it's so, it's so true.
Yeah. And
when it's just there's such a moment in this.
Yeah.
It's oh, miscarriage, and even when I would say it out loud to certain people.
Don't freak people out.
Yeah, you're gonna scare moms. You're gonna scare all these things, and
Right.
People would be like, "You're saying that in public?" I mean, it was like saying like Beetlejuice 3 times, you know. And I just think we need to have the conversation. I started following. I don't think you did, but like the hashtag, I had a miscarriage on Instagram. It's intense, very intense. But it's like, if it's, let's just say low bar, it's 20% of pregnancies. That's a fifth of people that are pregnant going through this. We should talk about it more. It should be like a conversation that happens, and I just don't think it does.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I hope, so maybe this podcast, I don't know, let's get a fucking million listeners and talk about it more.
Yeah.
Do you want to do any of our signature segs?
No. I do want to hear from you how you're doing.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's, I just told a friend of mine yesterday, so it's been, like we said, a month or so. I'm kind of like, I just haven't been talking, well, I haven't been talking about it to everybody, but like, I just kind of am like good about not having to tell the story or whatever. But so I told it to a friend who I thought knew, but I hadn't told, I guess, and yesterday, and it just, oof. It was just, he's kind of like a best friendy, father figure-y kind of combo to me, and he was really sad, and he's not an emotional, like someone who really shows emotion that often, and he was crying a little bit, and it just really got me, and but yeah, I'm doing okay. I mean, I'm kind of a firm believer in like, not everything happens for a reason. I think that's kind of bullshit, but more kind of like, I like plumbing the realms of human experience. So like, I like to kind of like feel the feels. Wow, this is sadder than I've ever felt. Wow, this is happier than I've ever felt. All the things. And I've been going through this season recently that's been a kind of a more downy season than I've had. And this punctuated it with a fucking bullet.
Yeah.
And but I feel like it's also helping me to like kind of contrast things in my life and just see like my life is actually so happy.
So good.
Our marriage is so good.
Yeah.
Our friends are great. We live in a really beautiful place. I don't know. So I'm doing okay. I mean, it's definitely like, it's there.
Yeah.
It's like this, I feel like it's kind of this lump in my throat that I don't think is ever going to go away. But I think that's good. I think that's a reverent way to look at it. Yeah. So, how are you doing?
I am. I don't know how I am. I'm sad, I think, for just lack of access to a better word right now.
Yeah.
And I'm also a little bit scared and tender and defeated, I think maybe are the underlying things to sadness, because I'm just almost constantly thinking about my age and is this going to happen again, and what am I doing? You know, that I'm sort of out of the like guilt spiral, but I can't help but in the sort of dark corners of my mind pull out some bullshit about, you know, what I did and how it could have been different, and and then and just feeling like I'm a person that can usually live really well in the present tense, and I'm just like futurizing the fuck out of my life right now.
Yeah.